Hey guys, it's Protendo, and despite Animal Crossing New Horizons having its fair share of issues, I think it's safe to say that the game faces the most criticism on its lack of special characters. Animal Crossing is a series that is quite literally built on character interaction, and while having your fellow villagers to talk to is all well and good, many people, myself included, lament the loss of many of the series' true characters, ones with their own personalities, quirks, and designs. So, I thought it'd be fun to take a look at all of these missing characters and talk about how they could work if they were New Horizons. It's important for me to clarify that this isn't a prediction video. There are a lot of ideas that I want to go over that are pretty outlandish, so think of this more as what Protendo wants these characters to do if they were in the game, rather than what Protendo expects these characters to do if they were in the game. Additionally, there are a lot of missing characters in New Horizons, so I'll only be going over about half of them in this video. If you guys are interested in seeing a part 2, let me know in the comments. Also, I'll be going alphabetically, but if it seems like I've missed someone, it's most likely because I'd rather discuss them while talking about a different character. I won't be going over Dawn until I get to Rossetti, for example. But with all of that out of the way, let's get started with Blanca. Blanca is one of those characters that I think could just go back to their exact role from a previous game. April Fool's Day is missing in Animal Crossing New Horizons, and I thought that Blanca was perfect for the holiday. It also gave your villagers a lot of personality. But if we're going for an original idea, I think she could work similarly to Wisp in the Welcome Amiibo update. We know that Blanca has the ability to transform into other characters, so what if she could turn into special characters for a day, taking their place and allowing animals like Tom Nook or Sable to take a day off? This would cause them to wander the island like any other villager, and you could interact with them as if they were one. I think a feature like this would go a long way in terms of making special characters feel like actual people instead of services that you just use to buy your clothes or check the town status. Next, we have Brewster, who is probably the most requested character in New Horizons. Apparently, there are hints in the game's code that point towards Brewster setting up shop in the museum when he arrives, but to me that would definitely feel like a step back after having his own cafe in New Leaf. However, a lot of people don't have room for a whole new building on their island because they've already designed it completely. So I think it would be great if we had the option to choose between these two possibilities for the roost. That way, no one loses. Brewster's role hasn't changed very drastically across any of the 3 games he's appeared in, and I don't see a need for it to now. He'll still serve you coffee, encouraging you to drink it hot, of course. But what if coffee wasn't the only thing he could serve? I think it would be great to see different seasonal drinks at the roost. Juices in the spring, lemonade and iced tea in the summer, apple cider and pumpkin stuff in the fall, and hot chocolate in the winter. This would also add some more variety to the barista minigame from New Leaf, which would definitely have to return. Following Brewster, there are actually 3 characters that I want to talk about, said characters being Chip, Joan, and Nat. As I'm sure you all know, these characters have a similarity. They've all effectively been replaced by their younger counterparts, CJ, Daisy May, and Flick. But just because their old roles have been taken up by new faces doesn't mean that they don't deserve any love either. So I think it would be nice if the game played off the idea of them being replaced and gave us the Retirement Island. A trend that you'll continue to see in this video and its sequel, if that comes out, is that I believe New Horizons should feature a wide variety of islands to visit. The game is all about island life, yet you can only visit 3 in total. Your own, another player's, or Harv's, the latter being something that no one ever does. I think that really leaning into the island theme can only do good things for the game. With that said, the Retirement Island would be a location you could travel to from your airport that features the 3 older characters I mentioned earlier. When visited, these 3 would give you 1 weekly challenge each. Chip's would correlate to fishing, Nat's to bug catching, and Joan's to greenery. For instance, Chip might ask you to catch 50 black bass by the end of the week, while Nat asks for 1 of every kind of beetle, and Joan asks for 20 rare flowers or something. If you're able to complete these missions by the end of the week, you'll be rewarded with either a boatload of bells or special furniture. And if you do these weekly challenges for long enough, you'll eventually unlock 3 very special tools: Chip's fishing rod, Nat's net, and Joan's watering can. These items are all themed around the characters they're based off of and never break. Next, we have Digby and Lyle, 2 members of the Happy Home Academy, and I feel like it only makes sense for them to have something to do with designing. So I'm going to add another island, simply titled Digby's Island. It would be a place where the Happy Home Academy has started to set up vacation homes for animals, and they'll ask you to design the interiors. It'll basically be a mini version of Happy Home Designer. A random animal, or someone that's left your island, will give you a specific theme, and Digby and Lyle will give you a budget. You then get to design the entire home, including multiple rooms, to fit the chosen theme but still be cost effective. The happier the animal is and the more bells you save, the better your reward from Digby and Lyle will be. They can even give you some special DIY furniture recipes for your efforts. Now we come to the funk shuffler himself, Dr. Shrunk. In New Horizons, we already get emotions from regular animals, so Shrunk isn't necessarily needed in that regard. But I thought of something equally as important that he could teach us: dance moves. Like I said in a previous video, I think that Shrunk should have his own building on a Main Street-like island featuring a bunch of different special characters with their own establishments. Okay, that's the last new island I'm adding in this video, I swear. But anyways, Shrunk's building would have a giant stage in the middle where the Doctor can perform his glorious moves. If you give him a piece of fruit, he'll teach you one, at a maximum of 1 per day. There would be about 30 dances to unlock, the final one of course being the famous Shrunk Funk Shuffle. Are you even an Animal Crossing game if you don't feature the Shrunk Funk Shuffle? Next we have Frillard, and he's dead. He's just dead. Moving on, we have Gracie. Gracie would absolutely have to be on the shopping island I described in Shrunk's section, because at this point I feel like her owning a high-end enormous shop with ridiculously high prices is pretty much half of her character. And because of that, I don't think her role has to change much from how she was in City Folk or New Leaf. New Horizons already has an astonishing lack of furniture sets, so having a character that sells us a bunch of them would really do a lot for the game in my opinion. Even if that means that we'll be going broke after buying a chair or two. Up next, we have Harriet, and I think she would work really well as a traveling character like Leaf or Kix. Similarly to Dr. Shrunk, her old function has been filled by something else in New Horizons, the mirror item being the culprit in this case. But I still think she could be useful if her role was adjusted slightly. In a previous video, I suggested that Harriet could offer mystery makeovers, in which she would give you a random hair color and style, potentially being one that could be only unlocked in that manner. But as multiple people pointed out, that would be pretty tedious and not at all fun. Instead, I think Harriet should just ask us to get her dye. No, not that kind of dye, hair dye. She would tell you what kind of ingredients she would need to create a certain color, normally fruit or flowers, and once you gave them to her, she would be able to give you a haircut in that color. Afterwards, it would also be added to your mirror catalog so you can get it whenever you'd like. These hair colors would be very different from the ones currently available. Following Harriet, we have Katie and her mother, Caitlin. In Wild World and City Folk, the two would have to be reunited after you visited a friend through multiplayer, the player with Katie needing to revisit their friend's town to bring the young cat back to her mother. In New Leaf, Caitlin was absent and Katie traveled alone, but was still asked to be taken to a friend's town. In New Horizons, I think it would be wholesome if the two actually traveled together for once, as mother and daughter. The duo would very rarely visit your island and ask for a tour of a certain location, be it the museum, the beach, etc. After the tour is complete, Katie would ask for a souvenir for you to provide, the quality of which determining how rare the gift you'll receive from them in the mail the next day will be. After the gift is received, Caitlin will ask if you have any other locations that you could recommend, at which point you can suggest one of your friends' islands. Because the characters are so rare, this would be a great way to speed up the process for some other players. And finally, to cap off the video, we have the one and only Cap'n. Just like Brewster, Cap'n is very highly requested, and it's not hard to see why. He's one of the series' most memorable characters and a definite fan favorite. And with New Horizons theming being completely island-based, it just feels wrong for him to not be here. I mean, come on, you guys can't tell me that that empty dock doesn't feel gross. While Cap'n could definitely just take us to Tortimer's Island again, singing all the while, I feel like he could have a different role that's better suited for New Horizons. Cap'n's fishing boat was an idea I had even before New Horizons released, and I still think it would work really well. What if instead of taking you to an island, Cap'n just brought you out to sea? He would still sing while bringing you there, of course. Once you get out into open waters, you could walk around Cap'n's now much bigger boat, and try to catch new rare fish by flinging your fishing rod over the side. You would also be able to dive over the side of the boat using your wetsuit and catch some new sea creatures. But Cap'n's services come at a price. He'll charge you 5,000 bells every minute you're out there, so it's best to be as quick as possible. I feel like a feature like this would be tons of fun and would allow for Cap'n to have a new but familiar role. But anyways guys, that's about it for this video. What do you think? Are these all characters you'd like to see return in New Horizons? And if so, what roles would you give to them? Let me know in the comments below. Protendo, out.